20 minutes or so, it's Off the Trail Trivia. Of course, this morning giving away those 2 adult admissions to the North American Bear Center. And that's you, Lynn.
Hey.
You were the founder of the North American Bear Center, correct?
True, yeah.
And what gave you the idea for the North American Bear Center? What spurred you to open that place up and show the public about bears?
Well, over the years studying bears, I saw there were so many misconceptions, and somebody had to be telling how it is.
The real story.
Yeah, right, yeah. And everything we got in there is so backed up with facts.
Okay, so you've spent a lot of time. The ladies are going to be in tomorrow, Heidi and Judy, talking about the education and what you're just talking about. With you this morning, talking about, you've actually been out there with the bears, correct?
Yes, yeah. Well, it started out that I was doing things, the old way was capture and just capture an ear tag. And then, throughout my career, I've always tried to do something new, to learn something new, and stay on the cusp of modern technology. So I was one of the first ones to do radio tracking, and that was, capture, put a radio collar on, track a bear around with an airplane or a vehicle, antennas, and then, and that was good. I mean, it was the first time that kind of stuff had been done on the scale that I did it. But then I realized how little I was learning because, you can only learn so much from a tranquilized bear, right. And you can only learn so much by putting dots on a map where a bear is. And you have to at least see the bear to be able to really learn about them and listen to them and learn their language and all their social organization and see what they eat in detail, more detail than a person can get from looking at scats. Because the most digestible items, some of their favorites, are the ones that are least visible in the dropping.
Okay, now, didn't I hear that we're talking about the North American bear up here, correct? The ones that we'll see out in the woods here in North Canada.
Black bears, the bear of the East.
Didn't I hear that they're pretty docile, really? And didn't I hear about the collar that you can almost, and maybe have, did I hear correctly, actually put one on yourself, on the bear?
Well, yes, and as long as I was studying bears in kind of a hands-off way, I maintained some of the fear that I grew up with about them because I never did anything to dispel it. I never gave them a chance. You catch a bear in a barrel trap, you stick a needle in there, tranquilize them, and you see the scared bear acting kind of ferocious in the trap. It's just because they're scared. And eventually, though, I looked at them finally like a scientist with an open mind and set aside the stuff I had read because a lot of that was not being reflected in their real behavior.
Speaking of their behavior, can you tell me a little bit about how they live with and communicate with the other animals we have up here, the wolf, the moose? Tell me a little about the interaction with those animals.
And that is the subject of the new ecology hall. That's where we branch out into the other animals that are around here, and where we can show these are the animals that bears interact with and encounter, that they hear, they see, and a lot of them, red squirrels, for example. They're good to bears. They love hazelnuts. Bears love hazelnuts. So squirrels take them off the bushes, put them in a nice pile for the bear. You call it a midden, a little food cache. And where bears are looking for hazelnuts in a pine area where the red squirrels live, instead of going to bush, they go from tree base to tree base, sniffing for these middens. And they can eat the hazelnuts much more efficiently than if they were taking them off the bushes.
Okay, the let's say the wolves. I think I saw in that you're talking about the addition to the North American Bear Center.
Yes.
I saw the moose. I've never seen a moose that close. They're big.
Yeah.
The wolf in there, and of course the deer. I guess the wolf. Do they have the problem? Do the bears have a problem with wolves?
Not much. Not much. They're pretty peaceable together.
Really?
I mean, yes. We did have, and the story is on that wolf mount of a pack of wolves killed a mother and cubs in a den. That was back in '72. We haven't seen it since.
That was in the winter too, correct?
Yes.
Food might be a little
February.
harder to find for the wolf, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Actually, '72 was a time when deer numbers were very low, and wolves were looking for anything they could eat.
Okay.
And that pack came out of the boundary waters where deer numbers fall to very low numbers in the winter. They migrate out. And so the wolves followed the deer out, and they had killed deer. I mean, there was deer hair in their droppings, but they found this hibernating bear in a rock-raked windrow. That's, where bulldozers have pushed all the logs up after a clear cut. And the bear was accessible from two sides, right on the surface of the ground, not in a protected underground den. So 9 wolves could attack from two sides. It was a big fight. They drove the bear from the den. They fought through some brush to the base of a big aspen tree. There was a big pool of blood, I'm sure from the bear, and because that's where the bear would have been with its back up against the tree. But there was a lot of bear hair, wolf hair, part of a wolf tooth. And finally the bear climbed the tree, slid back down. Probably the wolves were gone then, went back into the den. By that time, her cubs were eaten. And there she either died or the wolves came back and finished her off.
How do we affect the bears? Us out camping, humans out in nature. How are we affecting the bears, and how are they dealing with us in their territory?
That depends on people's attitude about bears, because if people are afraid of an animal, they won't coexist with it. And part of our telling the truth about bears is I grew up reading the hunting magazines and going to national parks and hearing all the warnings about bears. I didn't realize at that time that management was based mainly on fear of liability. So it seemed like the only thing that the government dares to do with a bear is to warn people about it. They're softening that message some these days, but and fear of bears is dissipating a bit. And like there's a community just west of Ely, Eagles Nest Township, where they have been accepting bears, feeding bears for over 50 years. It started at least as early as 1961. And that area is known for having fewer problems with black bears than anywhere I know, with a sizable, with that many bears, that many people.
Interesting.
It's 80% lower than the statewide average on a per bear basis for complaints.
They've created a repertoire with each other. They've got. Okay.
Yeah, somebody started feeding the bears. His neighbors came over. They got to know the bears. They saw they weren't the ferocious animals most people think. And most people would think that feeding bears would create nuisance problems and jeopardize public safety.
Okay, well, as I was going to get on, they obviously did their research and they learned how to do that with the bears. Would you suggest that people, when they're out camping, try to feed the bears?
No.
Okay,
no.
yeah.
This is something that works for this community, but in a national park or in a camping situation, no, because it's not where people could learn about the bears and accept them. It would be people coming in with their fears from all over the country, and it would just get a lot of bears killed.
Okay. Tell me a little about the Bear Center and the live bear. There's 4 bears at the Bear Center?
Yes.
Okay, and when you go there, do you get to see the bears, or do you kind of?
Oh, absolutely, guaranteed.
Guaranteed. So are they? How big of an area do they hold them in?
It's a 2.5 acre wooded area. Okay. So people that want to take pictures are taking them in a natural habitat, and the bears can go around and eat wild food just like the wild bears do, and and they interact. You don't see those bears pacing. They've got a full life.
They've got a life, okay.
Yeah.
Where can they find out? You've got a lot of videos of you out in the nature with the bears and other things. Where I guess just Google Lynn the Bear Man, is that it? Or is there a specific place I can find you?
Well, I would go to bear.org website or bearstudy.org, both of them. And there's a treasure trove of information on those two sites, especially bear.org. That's where we've made an effort to put educational stuff.
The educational stuff. But they can also, I'm talking more about we'll talk about that tomorrow with Judy and Heidi. I'm talking about videos of you out in the actual wild with bears, so people can see a little of the interaction you had with them.
Boy, what is the name of that? It's on YouTube. There's hundreds of videos of wild bears doing their thing.
Okay.
That's where, boy, I'll tell you, it's just amazing. Once we got into this new way of studying bears, where they ignore you, go about their business, trust us, they don't care about us, but after a while they get to trust you, and just ignore you, do their stuff, and we're there with a video camera that they're used to seeing. They pay no attention to it. If they even look at it, you wonder. And that's the kind of stuff that's in the Bear Center. You can't get that stuff on TV unless they came here.
So what do? You see a bear out in the woods, what do you do? Real quickly, what do you do? How do you act?
I'll tell you, there are so many kinds of advice about what to do when you see a bear.
What's the best in your mind, Lynn? What's the best?
The real thing is, it doesn't make much difference what you do.
Right.
Attacks are rare no matter what. People have done everything all over the board, and all the advice that you give, whenever you hear the advice, it sounds like, if you don't do this, you'll be killed. Nothing could be further from the truth. It really doesn't make much of a difference. People say, don't run from a bear. That could trigger a predatory response. Well, I took to asking people that say that, write that. We're trying to educate at the Bear Center. Can you give us for instance for that? We've yet to hear one. It's just something that somebody at a desk made up, thinking about cats or dogs or something. No information about real bears, and this could happen. Well, let's say it could happen, but I don't know of an instance where it has. I do know where, and attacks are rare, but I do know where an attack has happened and a person has run and it just transferred the attack to a different location.
Took it somewhere else, okay.
But it didn't trigger the attack.
It's rare you're going to find an aggressive bear, but when you do, a bear's going to be aggressive whether you run or not. But it's
one
rare.
out of a million kills somebody, and most of the deaths are just unprovoked predatory attacks.
And of course, we're talking about the North American black bear up here. It's not a grizzly or something like that.
Right, yeah. For them, most of the killings are in defense of cubs. I don't know of one killing in defense of cubs by a black bear.
Okay. Lynn, thanks for coming in this morning. We'll see you out. I got the ladies coming in tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow afternoon I'll be out there broadcasting live.
Super.
Out there. So we'll see you again tomorrow afternoon. Again, thank you for coming in this morning and tell us a little about the bears.
Thank you.
Have a great day, sir. It's about 7.